Hello, I'm Michael Golden, KM8YOR. Welcome to Mayor's Ham Shack. Here we're talking about Section C of the first part of the Technician License Exam. Now, this particular section is pretty much a lot of just straightforward rules. Some of it has very little to do with actually using your radio or anything like that. It's just the FCC needs you to know this. As you can see in the description here, this is licensing classes, sequential and vacancy call sign systems, places where amateur radio service is regulated by the FCC, name and address on FCC license database, term, renewal, grace period, maintaining, mailing address, international communications. Whole lot of boring stuff, but you gotta know it. You gotta know it to pass the test. You gotta know it to stay legal. So let's go through these. We will have a little bit of discussion. We'll do it like the other videos where we'll have some discussion and then we'll just read the questions and give you the answer so that you can memorize, get them in your head. But we're going to keep the discussion part on this one pretty short. It's going to be pretty straightforward here. So let's begin. First question here. For which license classes are new licenses currently available from the FCC? A. Novice, Technician, General, Amateur, Extra. B. Technician, Technician Plus, General, Amateur, Extra. C. Novice, Technician Plus, General, Advanced. Or D. Technician, General, Amateur, Extra. Now, again, this is just memorized. You just need to know it. But one interesting thing I want to point out here. If you look at the frequency chart that I talked about in the previous video provided by the ARL, it actually lists 5 classes. It lists Novice, Technician, General, Advanced, and Extra. That's important because there are 2 classes in there that still exist, but you cannot achieve them anymore. So there are people who still hold that license. They're completely legal and legit as long as they stay within their band plan. But you cannot get those licenses anymore. So with that being said, those particular 2 I'm talking about are Novice and Advanced. And you'll see these in A. You'll see Novice and A there. And you'll see Novice and Advanced. This Technician Plus guy doesn't exist. So Technician Plus does not exist. Novice and Advanced exist, but you cannot get that test anymore. So let's go through the answers here. A. Novice, Technician, General, Amateur, Extra. Well, it contains Novice. We can't get that one anymore. B. Technician, Technician Plus, General, Amateur, Extra. Technician Plus, not a thing, although some people have talked about making it a thing, but it is not a thing. So C, Novice, Technician Plus, General, Advanced. Here we have Novice in here, and we have Technician Plus. So can't get it anymore, and not a thing. Final, Technician, General, Amateur, Extra. That is your correct answer. D, Technician, General, and Amateur, Extra. 2. Who may select a desired call sign under the vanity call sign rules? A. Only a licensed amateur with a general or amateur extra class license. B. Only a licensed amateur with an amateur extra class license. C. Only a licensed amateur who has been licensed continuously for more than 10 years. Or D. Any licensed amateur. So again, this is just a rule. It is what it is. The correct answer is D. You don't need any special. As soon as you get your technician license, you get in the database, you'll get your initial call sign. You can immediately apply for a vanity call sign if you like. There's some caveats about that and how to get one. For the time being, we're not going to discuss those. We're just going to accept the answer and move on. So number 3. What types of international communications are an FCC licensed amateur radio station permitted to make? A. Communications incidental to the purpose of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. B. Communications incidental to conducting business or remarks of a personal nature. C. Only communication incidental to contest exchanges. All other communications are prohibited. Or D. Any communications that would be permitted by an international broadcast station. Okay, I do want to discuss this one. This is an important one here. So what is allowed? What are you allowed to talk about on the radio? Well, first of all, I know in previous tests, when I took the technician, the key thing you had to know is that the amateur radio service exists for emergency communication, goodwill between countries, and for pretty much expanding the physics aspect of amateur radio. So learning the science of it. So that limits what you can do because you're not allowed to sell things. You are, at least at the time when I took the test, you were allowed to say, hey, I have an ICOM 7300 for sale for $600. Anybody want to buy it? You're allowed to talk to people about that because it was amateur radio equipment. But I couldn't go out and say, hey, I'm selling my car for $1,500. You want to come buy it? Hey. And then just talk to anybody and everybody. Hey, $1,500 here, $1,500 here. Want to buy a car? Want to buy a car? Come here. No, that would drive everybody nuts. You're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to sell amateur radio equipment through the airwaves as long as you're not being annoying about it. So like, hey, you looking for a radio? Oh yeah, well, you know what? I got one. I'm selling one for $500. If you're interested, let me know. And you drop it there. You don't talk to every single person you get. Just like, oh yeah, I'm selling a radio. If you're interested, you can come buy it. I'm selling it for $500. You are allowed to do that. But anything else? Nope. You're not allowed to advertise your business or anything like that. So what are we allowed to talk about? Well, the answer is in A. And I'm just going to focus on that. Communications incidental to the purpose of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. And although that is specific to international in that question, that's pretty much what they want. So don't talk politics to someone in Russia or Ukraine, although at the time of this video, you're not supposed to be talking to Russia right now. But, and I think Belarus too, you're not allowed to talk to them. But anybody else you're allowed to talk to. But don't talk politics, don't talk any of that stuff. You know, you find someone you want to get some info from, get them on another service. Guess what? Everybody's listening to you. So we don't want to talk about that stuff right now. So question 4. What may happen if the FCC is unable to reach you by email? A. Fine and suspension of operator license. B. Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license. C. Revocation of access to license record in the FCC system. Or D. Nothing. There is no such requirement. So again, I don't want to get too into this. The correct answer is B. We're just going to go straight to the answer here. Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license. When I took the technician exam, it was you had to have a mailing address. Sounds like they're changing it to email. I will say in the 7 years I've had my license, I have never been emailed by the FCC. So if you do get an email by the FCC, look at it with great scrutiny because I don't want any amateur radio people getting phished. And phishing is a IT term. I'm sorry, I'm in IT, so talking that way, I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, be very cautious of FCC, but be aware that they may email you. But generally, in my experience, and even in recent experience, if you're doing something wrong or they need to contact you, they're sending you a certified letter. So, definitely respond to those. But I guess keep an eye out for your email for the FCC as well. Number 5. Which of the following is a valid technician class call sign format? A. KF1 XXX. B. KA1X. C. W1XX. Or D. All of these choices are correct. So we'll talk about this real quick. A, we call this a 2x3. B is a 2x1. And C is a 1x2. So the answer is all these choices are correct. 6. From which of the following locations may an FCC licensed amateur station transmit? A. From within any country that belongs to the International Telecommunication Union, or ITU. B. From within any country that is a member of the United Nations. C. From anywhere within International Telecommunication Union Regions 2 and 3. Or D. From any vessel or craft located in international waters and documented or registered in the United States. So this is a bit of a trick question, okay? What they're going after here is they want you to know that your license is only for your country. I cannot walk over to Canada, which is only 20-30 miles, by boat, if I took a boat, 30 miles from here, and just start communicating. I'm in Canada. I have to follow their rules. If I don't have a license, I'm not allowed to use it. So the correct answer is D. From any vessel or craft located in international waters and documented or registered in the United States. So the two key things is, 1, it's not in any other country. And then 2, that boat is registered with the United States. That's a key point. So in essence, they're saying in international waters, you're in free air. So nobody necessarily has clear jurisdiction over that. And then 2, the boat itself is United States. So you're in essence on United States land or United States territory in of a sense. So then you're allowed to transmit. If you're in international waters and you're on a British boat, nope, you're not allowed to. That is considered British territory at that point. So keep that in mind. It's very important if you're going on cruises and stuff, because some cruises will actually allow you to use your radios and do some pretty cool things there. But you need it to be a United States boat, or you need to have a license for that country that you're going with. Also, make sure you contact the captain well beforehand so you can prepare everything. 7. Which of the following can result in revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license? A. Failure to inform the FCC of any changes in the amateur station following performance of an RF safety environmental evaluation. B. Failure to provide and maintain a correct email address with the FCC. C. Failure to obtain FCC type acceptance prior to using a home-built transmitter. D. Failure to have a copy of your license available at your station. Okay, we'll talk about this real quick. So failure to inform the FCC of any changes in amateur station following performance of RF safety environmental evaluation. Okay, so the FCC does not license your equipment. The FCC licenses you. When you touch that equipment, you're applying your license to that equipment. So the FCC does not care per se about any of that stuff. You're not have to submit a report. However, the RF safety environmental evaluation is a real thing. And if you have a permanent station, you need to do this, I believe they said once a year. When I took the technician exam, that is important. Make sure you're not affecting your neighbors or anything like that. I'm sure we're going to talk about that more in some of the safety sections. But otherwise, they don't care. You do the RF safety environmental evaluation, and then you do all that you need to necessary to protect those around you if you're not following within what you need to be. B. Failure to provide and maintain a correct email address for the FCC. Well, we did talk about some questions about email earlier, didn't we? That was kind of an issue. So that's a probably. Let's look at the others just to be safe. C. Failure to obtain FCC type acceptance prior to using a home-built transmitter. Again, you don't apply your license, or you apply your license to the equipment you're using. The equipment is not licensed. There is a type acceptance that you can get, but home-built transmitters do not need FCC acceptance. That's whole part of the tinkering and playing of amateur radio, is that you can try to build your transmitter. Now, that RF safety environmental evaluation, way more important if you're doing a home-built transmitter. Make sure you're not frying anybody's brains when you're making those things. But you do not have to do that. D. Failure to have a copy of your license available at your station. So the key thing in this question is what can result in revocation of the station license or suspension of your license. D is a legit thing, especially if you're out. You need to have your license with you. You need to be able to present it. I haven't had an issue yet, but I've had friends. I've seen some of the other YouTubers out there who take their radios and stuff out. They have their license with you. If they, if a cop comes by, it's like, hey, what are you doing? This is kind of weird. You're scaring some people. All you have to do is show your license, and for the most part, unless you're causing a problem, they're going to let you go. They're going to let you transmit and do your thing. But that is part of the rule, is you need to have your license to be able to present it to you if asked by some sort of authority, including local police officers. So the correct answer here is failure to provide and maintain a correct email address with the FCC. What is the normal term for an FCC-issued amateur radio license? Correct answer, we'll just go straight to it. 10 years. Remember that. 10 years is the term for a license. Number 9. What is the grace period for renewal if an amateur license expires? I want to keep in mind here that when they say grace period, it does not mean, oh, you continue transmitting and you got 2 years, you can use your license. No, you must stop using your license when it expires. But if you decide to renew, you have 2 years after it expires to renew it without any additional repercussions. So the correct answer is 2 years, A. 10. How soon after passing the examination for your first amateur radio license may you transmit on the amateur radio bands? A. Immediately on receiving your certificate of successful completion of examination, CSCE. B. As soon as your operator station license grant appears on the ARRL website. C. As soon as your operator station license grant appears in the FCC's license database. D. As soon as you receive your license in the mail from the FCC. So, straightforward answer, you currently have no call sign. You go in, you take the technician test. You must wait until it actually appears in the database of the FCC for you to transmit. You need that call sign to transmit. You cannot go out there and say, hey, I don't have my call sign yet, but I just passed the test, and talk to people. Nope, can't happen. You must wait until it appears in the ULS of the FCC license database. That way you have your call sign. You're perfectly legal. If someone like myself is talking to you on a band and we're like, that's a new call sign, never heard it. We can look it up. You can see you're legit, all your privileges that you're allowed, and you're good to go. The interesting part is they put B here, talking about the ARRL website. And this happened to me. So there's a couple other websites out there like QRZ.com and ARRL has it, and a couple others where you can type in somebody's call sign and look it up. When I was looking for mine, I was looking for my name, and it just wasn't popping up on the ARRL website. But my friend Rob happened to look up in the ULS, and it was there. And I had checked that earlier as well, but I was kind of going back and forth. Because these websites, they don't update their information until after the FCC updates theirs. And that could be several hours. They may only do it once a night and pull all the information from the database onto their website. So best place to go is directly to FCC. I will also say that if you take your test, pen and paper somewhere, it's going to take a little bit to get your exam because there's a whole bunch of things that or your call sign, a whole bunch of things that have to happen. If you're chomping at the bit, you want to get it done. Fastest way to do it is to find a remote session. There's a couple different groups doing that. Right off the top of my head, if you go to hamstudy.org, you should easily be able to sign up. Also, another YouTuber called the Ham Radio Crash Course, hosted by Josh Nass, KI6NAZ. He and his group of cohorts, they have a remote session going on. A whole bunch of people able to just, they'll tell you exactly what you need to do. You use your computer, kind of like what I'm doing now with you, and they watch you take the test. So that everything just like you would in person. You know, you need 3 VEs or volunteer examiners watching you, and you take the test there and you do it on your computer. They have special software. But the key thing about this is they can have your call sign sometimes same day in a few hours. 24 hours typically is all it takes at the most in these cases. So that's a great option. I enjoy taking my tests in person, but now that I have a call sign, not as big of a deal. The CSCE that they're talking about, so if you take your technician now and you pass it, okay? So 6 months from now, you decide to go get your general, and you go and you take it in person, and you pass it, you get your general. You can you can then transmit on general because you already have a call sign. And then all you have to do is put a /AG, which stands for Amateur General, after your call sign when you're doing HF stuff. That way, whoever you're talking to knows, oh, you just passed the test. You have 365 days to get in the ULS of the FCC, which you don't have to do anything. That's for the VE team to take care of. But just an FYI for you. Number 11, if your license has expired and is still within the allowable grace period, may you continue to transmit on the amateur radio bands? A, yes, for up to 2 years. B, yes, as soon as you apply for renewal. C, yes, for up to 1 year. Or D, no, you must wait until the license has been renewed. Talked about this a little bit ago. Correct answer is D. No, you must wait until the license was renewed. So now let's go back. We're just going to go through the questions again, and then we'll just read the questions and then give you the answers. All right, let's begin. Question 1. For which license classes are new licenses currently available from the FCC? A. Novice, Technician, General, Amateur Extra. B. Technician, Technician Plus, General, Amateur Extra. C. Novice, Technician Plus, General, and Advanced. Or D. Technician, General, and Amateur Extra. The correct answer? D. Technician, General, and Amateur Extra. 2. Who may select a desired call sign under the Vandy call sign rules? A. Only a licensed amateur with a general or amateur extra class license. B. Only a licensed amateur with an amateur extra class license. C. Only a licensed amateur who has been licensed continuously for more than 10 years. Or D. Any licensed amateur. And the correct answer? D. Any licensed amateur. 3. What types of international communications are the FCC licensed amateur radio stations permitted to make? A. Communications incidental to the purpose of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. B. Communications incidental to conducting business or remarks of a personal nature. C. Only communications incidental to contest exchanges. All other communications are prohibited. Or D. Any communications that would be permitted by an international broadcast station. And the correct answer is A. Communications incidental to the purposes of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. 4. What may happen if the FCC is unable to reach you by email? A. Fine and suspension of operator license. B. Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license. C. Revocation of access to the license record in the FCC system. Or D. Nothing. There is no such requirement. And the correct answer is B. Revocation of the station license or suspensions of the operator license. 5. Which of the following is a valid technician class call sign format? A. KF1XXX. B. KA1X. C. W1XX. Or D. All of these choices are correct. The correct answer? D. All of these choices are correct. Six. From which of the following locations may an FCC licensed amateur station transmit? A. From within any country that belongs to the International Telecommunications Union. B. From within any country that is a member of the United Nations. C. From anywhere within International Telecommunications Union, Regions 2 and 3. Or D. From any vessel or craft located in international waters and documented or registered in the United States. Correct answer? D. From any vessel or craft located in international waters and documented or registered in the United States. Number 7. Which of the following can result in revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license? A. Failure to inform the FCC of any changes in the amateur station following performance of an RF safety environmental evaluation. B. Failure to provide and maintain a correct email address with the FCC. C. Failure to obtain FCC type acceptance prior to using a home-built transmitter. Or D. Failure to have a copy of your license available at your station. The correct answer? B. Failure to provide and maintain a correct email address with the FCC. 8. What is the normal term for an FCC-issued amateur radio license? Is it A. 5 years, B. Life, C. 10 years, or D. 8 years? And the correct answer is C. 10 years. Number 9. What is the grace period for renewal if an amateur license expires? A. 2 years, B. 3 years, C. 5 years, or D. 10 years? And the grace period is A. 2 years. Number 10. How soon after passing the examination for your first amateur radio license may you transmit on the amateur radio bands? A. Immediately on receiving your certificate of successful completion of examination, the CSCE. B. As soon as your operator station license grant appears on the ARRL website. C. As soon as your operator station license grant appears in the FCC's license database. Or D. As soon as you receive your license in the mail from the FCC. The correct answer is C. As soon as your operator station license grant appears in the FCC's license database. And the last question, number 11. If your license has expired and is still within the allowable grace period, may you continue to transmit on the amateur radio bands? A. Yes, for up to 2 years. B. Yes, as soon as you apply for renewal. C. Yes, for up to 1 year. D. No, you must wait until the license has been renewed. And the correct answer is D. No, you must wait until the license has been renewed. Thank you so much for joining me, Mayor's Ham Shack. My call sign is KM8YOR. Name's Michael Golden. And I hope this is very helpful to you. And please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like these videos or you find them in any way useful. And let me know what you think and what kind of questions you may have. We have the comments below. You can also email me, KM8YOR, @mayoronline.net. Thank you.